Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be sharing kind of a personal project with you. It's something I've been wanting to do and I probably won't share every part of it, but I thought I'd bring you along as I got started and maybe update you on my progress along the way. So I just set it all up and I thought I would mention that I also got a watch to use for my videos. So if you see that just laying on my desk, it does have a purpose. I know that I talk often about how you really need to slow down with lettering and how videos on Instagram are super sped up and it can make you think that you need to go quickly even though you don't. And so one thing that's hard for me is to always share how much things are sped up. If I do voiceovers, I usually have to speed up my clips to how fast I'm talking. So there might be some parts of the video that are 4 times speed and there might be other parts that are 8 if I didn't have as much to say in that section. So I thought that it would be a fun way for you guys to see kind of how fast I'm going, because you can at least get a little bit of an idea as you watch the second hands go around. And even the minute hand, when things are sped up pretty quickly, you can see that minute hand go around and around and around pretty fast. And so I thought that maybe that would just be a good reminder as you are watching lettering that things are sometimes sped up and it's okay to go slowly, and that I truly do think going slowly really helps. So anyway, on to my project. I have been wanting for a long time to do hand lettering of longer passages of scripture. I have always found writing things out to help with focus and memory, not just scripture, but even when I was in college, I would write out all my notes and I would write them out again and I would make them look pretty or type them out, or, I think maybe part of that is I struggled to just like focus if I wasn't keeping my hands busy. And so writing things out or typing them, honestly, I found it more helpful to do that a few times than to just read things over and over. And so I don't know if it's just maybe something in my brain, but I feel like it really helps me to focus and take in what I'm reading rather than just kind of like read a couple paragraphs and realize that I don't actually even know what I just read. So I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I kept thinking in my mind that I need to do it with a dip pen. Mainly because when I use a dip pen, my lettering is quite a bit smaller. But the thing is, I really don't do dip pen lettering a lot. I do it when I am doing envelopes, and even though I do like it, it's not my favorite. And so I guess I was just kind of letting that get in my way of starting, because I just kept thinking I'll like wait until I get, a style of dip pen lettering that I love or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I decided to just not let that stop me and do it with the medium that I love using probably the most, which is watercolor. And I actually found doing this that my hand just really doesn't get as fatigued when I'm doing watercolor in the same way that it does with a brush pen or dip pen. I'm sure that has to do with my grip and that I'm like able to hold this pen a lot more loosely, especially when you are doing watercolor. You're not like pushing down hard to get those strokes. It's very gentle and delicate. And so I think that actually this is a good choice for me personally, because I think that I'll be able to letter a bit longer than I would be able to if I were using a dip pen. I think if I were using a dip pen, I'd have to take a lot more breaks. So I decided to start with the book of John, and maybe it would have been easier to start with a much smaller book of the Bible, and that is an option, but I'm currently studying John and will be for a little while. And so I just thought it made the most sense for me to do it, even if it's a little bit longer than some of the other books of the Bible. This is going to be something I'm working on for a while. I don't expect it to be done in a day or even a week, so it's okay. I did notice a couple of things as I did this on camera. I had actually practiced this a couple times before filming this, just to see about sizing and, just to get an idea of what it would be like to letter something this long. And I actually didn't have any more black, so I had to wait for my black to come in the mail. So in the meantime, I did this a couple of times, and it was interesting because I noticed that when I filmed it, I really had a lot of fear at the beginning of messing up. Not necessarily my lettering, of course. I know I will mess up. It's never fun to mess up, and I try not to. But when it comes to actually like struggling with a fear of messing up, it was more that I had a fear that I would have a typo, and that happens all the time with lettering. But I think when I'm lettering, just random words or phrases, it doesn't stress me out as much. That I really, of course, don't want to misrepresent scripture. So I just felt like a lot of pressure to make sure that I was using the right word. And so that's something I need to work on as I'm doing this. Of course, I want to write the right words. I don't want to mess up. And if I do and I catch it, I will redo it and not post something that has an error in it. But just know that behind the scenes, it probably will be that maybe something needs to be redone, or maybe I make a mistake and have to redo it. But I figure the worst is that I just have to redo one page. It's not like it's all going to be on one giant page, and if I mess up one word, I have to redo hours worth of work. You'll see here that I don't really get through a ton of verses on one page. So all that would happen is I'd just have to redo one page, and I'm sure off camera that will probably happen. But the good part about that is I really felt like I was soaking in the words, because lettering is so slow, and I honestly had to keep rereading it. Especially watercolor lettering, I'm going probably more slowly than if I were using a different type of pen. And so I would maybe remember one or two words at a time, and then I would go back and reference. I had my Bible sitting to the left of my desk, so you can't see it here, but I had to go back and reference it every word or two or three, very frequently. And so I kept having to, in order to find my spot, reread, especially this part there was a bit of repetition. And so I kept having to reread over and over and over. And I felt like that actually was serving the purpose of helping me to soak in the words that I was reading. So just a little bit of the details of what I was using here. I'm using Canson XL watercolor paper, and I'm using it full size. I didn't cut it down or add any lines or anything like that. I'm also using a Princeton Select round brush in a size 1. I use this one pretty often, and there was another one that I considered using and tested out, but I didn't think that I could buy it outside of a set. And since I'm kind of in this for a very long project, I wanted to be able to repurchase if I ended up needing a new brush or something like that. I didn't want to get halfway through and then not be able to buy that brush again without purchasing the whole set. And then I'm also using Daniel Smith watercolors in the color Lamp Black. I know you might be thinking that if I'm doing something this long and meaningful that I should have used Arches paper. And I do like Arches paper. I really love Canson for lettering. There's another more expensive brand that I really like, but the reason that I went with Canson is because I know I'm going to use a lot of paper, and I just wanted it to be affordable. I'm doing this for me, and it's okay if I'm not using the most high-end paper. Now I had, like I said, practiced this a couple of times already, just doing one page, and I had thought, based on my calculations, that I was going to need around 100, maybe a little bit more pages. But when I did this video, I think I must have lettered a little bit larger than I did when I was practicing, because I did the calculations again based off of this page, and it looks like I might need around 125 pieces of paper. So I'm going to try to maybe letter a little bit smaller as I go on, or maybe put my lines a little bit closer together. Now that's just a very basic estimate. I really just took how many verses I was able to fit on this page, and then took the number of verses in John, and then divided the number of verses in John by how many I put on this page. Of course, that's not a perfect way to do it. There's going to be verses that are longer, and there's going to be verses that are shorter, but I just kind of wanted to get an idea. All in all, we know I'm going to need a lot of pieces of paper, and so the affordable choice made a lot of sense. But anyway, I thought that it would be fun to kind of take you along and explain this project. I am not going to be filming every part of it, because again, this is something I'm kind of doing for myself, and I don't want to hinder myself from doing it just to study if I'm not able to, film or set up a camera or something like that. However, I will keep you updated and share some updates if you'd like. Just let me know, and let me know if you've ever done anything like this, if you've done a scripture writing plan. I know I think people do scripture writing plans outside of calligraphy and hand lettering. So I will say that when I write just with a regular pen, my hand does get kind of tired and cramp a little bit, and I really didn't find that I had that same experience using watercolor. So even though I'll be using a little bit more paper, I really enjoyed this process and didn't have to stop for hand cramps often. So yeah, I'm not very far into it, but so far, after how I felt about this, I am eager to keep working on this project. So if you guys want to see more, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video.